So UFC 318 just wrapped up, and we just sent off a legend, Dustin Poirier. Now this was an amazing card. I think it's a brilliant fucking way to send off Poirier. Just the crowd was, amazing. Like, bro, this was such a great event. And I'm gonna go through every single fight. I'm gonna give some reactions, give some breakdowns, and yeah, we're gonna start from the very bottom of Carly Judice versus Nicole Cagliari. Now, the first thing you see is it's a female fight, and they put it at the bottom of the card, which is probably a good thing for most people because they think it's a piss break. However, if you haven't watched tape, Carly Judice is genuinely good. Like someone's held pads for her. She's hit the heavy bag. She's done rounds on the air bike. Like, she knows what she's doing. She ain't going there for a paycheck. Now, Nicole Cagliari, on the other hand, yeah, well, someone needs to hold pads for her. So I'm not gonna just break down the fight immediately because I think I really want to talk about the new generation of female flyweight fighters. Well, I say new generation, but there's only a couple of them that are actually good. But especially Carly Judice. She is a boxer. She is slick. Like, she genuinely knows how to throw combos. In the entire fight, she was throwing 1-2s. She has a nice step-in knee, which she threw against Nicole Cagliari, and on her fight in the Contender Series. However, just quickly, she does seem to have some issues because she's just a boxer. Or when you blitz towards her, right? When you do it, she's going to cover and she's going to walk backwards. But she tends to get hit as that occurs, and that's the one thing I don't like about it. Personally, I think I would like to see her slow down the pace a little bit, right, and start using some kicks. Or if she wants to keep the same pace, she needs to be able to stay in the pocket and roll, sort of like a JDM. Just a bit of general information. She is, in fact, a southpaw fighter, but she's technically a switch fighter, but she stays in southpaw 80-90% of the time. So I'm going to call her southpaw. So first round. I mean, to be honest, most of these fights do the same thing, and this was especially a good showcase of this. First round, Judice was finding angles constantly. She was at range, 1-2, she was shifting. She would feint, take a slight step to the side, do it again, and then maybe throw a 2 down the pipe or a 1-2 down the pipe. She was clearly controlling the pace of the fight, the pressure, and she had Cagliari wherever she wanted her. I think within the first minute she threw a step in knee, and the second I saw that, I was like, damn, that's money, Cagliari, on the other hand, is more of a grappler type, so she wants that takedown, she wants, to put you against the fence and just sort of sit on you, lay on you. And she did try to do that, right? First round, she got the body lock, but Judice was able to go back to the fence, put the fence on her back, and then she, broke the grips and circled out. And then it was back to the same thing, finding angles, blasting 1-2 down the pipes, 1-2 down the pipes, a straight jab, a 2. Like, she was just kind of just hitting her. Granted, she wasn't really hurting her, I'd say. She was just constantly peppering her. Like, don't get me wrong, she's not a Wang Tong, whatever you want to call her. She ain't got that one-punch KO power. But she's able to put damage on you, which is honestly something you don't see a lot in lower weight classes. I'm not talking about female bantamweights because a lot of them are just fat asses who just wing punches. They're like the male equivalent of heavyweights. I'm talking about female flyweights, which she is. She's, similar to, like, I want to say, she's like a mini Dakota Ditcherbeck, if you think about it. Okay, is she as dynamic? No, but she just knows how to throw a 1-2 down the pipe really well. Okay. She has some really slick takedown defense. This, I think, happened in both rounds. Cagliari would shoot, and then she sort of just bump her with the hip, and then throw her slightly to the side, and then just turn around, right? Sort of like grab a whizzer, turn around, and put her off to the side, and then she would just separate or go into a half guard. That did happen one time. They ended up in like a weird north-south position, but then Judice just stood up. Second round was pretty much the same thing as the first round in terms of striking. There's a lot less takedown attempts. There's a bit of fence work. She's actually pretty decent in the clinch. Lands damaging elbows. So yeah, round 2, clear Judice. Round 1, clear Judice. Round 3, again, similar stuff. But this time, Cagliari decided to shoot again. Judy's got the whizzer, was able to separate, and then this is where the finishing sequence happened. So just before she threw a 1-2-3, right, and then she threw a jab, and then I think Cagliari thought she would come in again for a jab because all she's been throwing the entire fight is that jab, right, and she just threw that step in knee. She ducked right into it. Beautiful KO. It was actually pretty fucking exciting. All right, the prelims of this event was absolutely amazing. I think we went like 6 for 6 finishes at the start. Okay, moving on to Bruno Ferreira, Jason McVeigh. I just want to first say I feel bad for Jason McVeigh. Jackson. Why did I say Jackson McVeigh? Sorry. He got two much easier matchups. Cedricus Dumas. Like, come on, Cedricus Dumas ain't good. He ain't up there. He's an easy fight. But then he gets Bruno Ferreira, who is an absolute marauder, dude. He's an absolute marauder. No, he's actually good. KO'd Gregory Rodriguez. Lost to Abus Magomedov. But these are like... He's like honestly arguably at the edge of the rankings, if not in the rankings. So getting a fighter like this at the start is just completely not fair. Ferraro fought really smart. He knew McVeigh was like a kind of technical fighter, but he knew he wasn't that athletic, which I think McVeigh openly says as well, which you can easily see. Like, he's not that explosive. He's technical, he's long, he wants to, control range, and he wants to hit you at range and then come in and then land damage. But Ferreira knew that, McVeigh's a southpaw and Ferreira's an orthodox fighter, so obviously open stance, right? And Ferreira kept circling towards the left, and he would occasionally switch to southpaw to match him, and then he would immediately put that knee up, the knee up like the Thais would do, like to check. And I think what he was doing alongside the constant hand fighting, right? Like they would just hold hands. I'm gonna call it hold hands because I don't actually know a proper way to call it. Was I think baiting McVeigh to attack, and when McVeigh would attack, he would come in close and either land shots or look to grapple. So they had about a minute and a half of this. Ferreira lands a beautiful leg kick. Like McVeigh immediately shows it hurts. He's gonna need to learn how to do a poker face. And then they strike a little bit, nothing really lands, and then Ferreira goes for a spinning elbow, which gives his back. Now, one thing I noticed about this pay-per-view is a lot of similar stuff happens, especially with the spinning attacks. Right? He goes for a spinning attack, McVeigh gets the back, he looks to take the back while standing, he only gets one hook, so Ferreira just kind of dumps him off. He kind of got toddlered. He gets dumped off, Ferreira gets side control, he's there for a bit, landing a bit of damage, gets mount there for a little bit, and then rolls to that beautiful armbar. And I just want to say, you don't see a submission from Mount these days. Where are the Americanas? Where are the fucking armbars? I haven't seen an armbar from Mount in ages. Where are the Americas? Where are the Kimuras? Where is this shit? This is the stuff I want to see. Mount is so... People don't do shit in Mount anymore. Like, half the time, people can barely land damage Mount. They just stay on top of the Mount. Like, what's the point in Mount if you're not going to do that damage? That's why I love what Bruno Ferreira did. Really great performance. Granted, it was kind of expected from him. Do feel bad for both him and McVeigh, because McVeigh's lost an undefeated record, and Ferreira sort of just got a win that does nothing for him other than pay the bills. So, yeah, we'll see what's in the future for them. Alright, moving on to Crute versus... Spann versus Bresky. Not Crute versus Bracknell. Spann versus Bresky. So, Ryan Spann this time came out with some fucking brain cells. It only took him his entire fucking career, eh? Lucas Bresky is just too one-dimensional. He was never a good fighter. He was never a good fighter. He just ain't got it. Yeah. To be fair, he looks quite slick on the feet. Nice jabs, nice kicks at range. But Spann shoots one double leg and he gets it. Like, he gets it immediately. I think he gets full guard. He gets half guard and then Bresky gets full guard on him. Then Spann kind of pushes up to land ground and pound. Then, he sort of lays on top of him, or like 265 pounds of him, or however much he was. Lays on top. He gets into mount. And then he goes for that. He goes for a really tight arm triangle, actually. I don't know how Bresky survived that, but he managed to roll. I think he managed to roll out of it. But then he looks to get there in front headlock position. He looks to stand up and rolls right into a ghillie. And yeah, well, what can you say? You gotta learn how to grapple, even in heavyweight. So, I guess great win from Span. I don't know. I just don't think Span's that good of a fighter, just due to brain cells. But he's got some brain cells now, so we'll see what happens in the future. And Bresky gonna get cut, man. He's on like a 4-5 fight losing streak, or maybe it's 3. How did he beat Walter Walker? How did he beat the Grappler? MMA that don't make sense. Okay, Jimmy Crute versus Marcin Prachnio. Yeah, another beautiful armbar submission. Honestly, I don't know. I'm a fan of armbars, man. They're just so elegant, especially when you get them in MMA, because people don't get them anymore. So the fight started. Obviously, Pacquiao's a striker. Crute is the grappler, but he's also sort of like a power puncher. No offense to Crute, but he's like a caveman on the feet. He's like, "Oh, I hit you with a club," except the club is, a big overhand. Fight started with Pacquiao doing what he does. He's got that weird karate-esque taekwondo stuff. I think he's a Kyokushin karate striker. I might be wrong. Landing leg kicks, cutting it off angles, and then Crute's just sort of staying patient. He's not really throwing much. He's just staying at range, trying to not to take the kicks too clean. He did take a couple clean. He did throw a couple big overhands and a couple jabs, as a way to sort of get into range and clinch, because that's what he wants to fight, right? He doesn't want to fight at range. He can't outstrike Marcin Prachnio. Even he knows that. So, they do that. Crute's able to shoot. I just thought this. That shit was fucking hilarious. He literally got on his knees. Now, take that out of context. That's hella sus, right? But in this case, I actually think it was a good decision. Because he went for a single leg. And you see a lot of times with single legs, you want to get your chest, and stomach full contact with the leg, right? Otherwise, you give them space to get their hip up and turn in and kick the leg out. By actually going on his knees, he was able to fully hug it. And it's a lot harder to lift your leg out when you're fully standing. Because you practically have to fly to do it. And I don't know about you, but I can't fly, and maybe you can't. So I think it was actually a pretty good decision, as retarded as it looks. Wasn't able to actually get the single leg, transitioned to a double, which he got, a big boo! Again, caveman-like. Then he lies in full guard for a while, and then, it was like a minute and a half. Pacquiao was able to kick off the hips and get up, but he's not actually able to separate distance, because Crute gets straight back on him, on the fence. Pacquiao gets double unders, and this was actually really slick from Crute. He does a really nice trip. So, and then Pacquiao ends up sitting, leaning against the fence. Crute goes for a ghillie. He doesn't actually get the ghillie. It's like too much. It's not on the chin. It's following the jawline as opposed to under the chin. So they sort of separate, and then it's the same shit on the feet, right? Pacquiao's throwing jabs, he's kicking at range. Crute's looking for that too and looking to tie up. He does eventually tie up. He gets into the clinch. He goes from a single leg, doesn't get it. But he spins Pacquiao around, gets a beautiful back take into a body lock, and then just chucks him down. Pacquiao ends up in total, and Crute sort of gets side control of that total, right? They stay there for a little bit, and then he manages to get a hand on Pacquiao's wrist, and manages to pull. Steps over, starts to pull for the armbar. He gets it. Pacquiao's tough. He's rolling. They're transitioning, but Crute does eventually hold onto it and secure it. So good from Crute. Obviously, he's got a pretty weird career, and I think it's good that he's getting some momentum, and he's getting paid, especially after some weird injuries and stuff as well. Alright, moving on to the next. Izan Dulatov versus Adam Fugic. Now, obviously, in this case, we have... I know Adam Fugic was coming off a pretty good, decent streak, but it's kind of obvious that Izan Dulatov was getting teed up with Adam Fugic, right? Izan Dulatov, model, blah, 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 tall. He's ripped as fuck. Like, look at him. No homo. He has no carbs. Like, they don't exist. I know this image makes it look better than it is, but if you watch a fight, bro, there's sticks. I don't know how he stands. It doesn't make sense to me. Right. Fight was a pretty good standing matchup. He's a bit one-dimensional, Izam. Or he didn't get enough to show. Or he didn't really get to show much, because he was basically throwing 1-2s. Right. He has a nice long two. He has nice leg kicks, but in terms of the feet, it was 1-2s, and 1, 2, threes, and he did switch to an uppercut, and obviously he did knock out Future with a nice check hook. But I don't know, he seems quite well rounded. Future did manage to get into defense and look for a takedown. He did make a heavy mistake where he sort of lowered his level, but not towards a double leg. So like he was trying to push his weight onto his like Dolotov's chest as opposed to his shoulders, which doesn't make sense because you gotta make a gap, right? Which lets arms slide everywhere, and you can get on the hook and slide out. This happened twice, which is I think really a big ass mistake from Future because like you need to slow down a guy who's faster than you, and Islam Dolotov was obviously faster than him. The fight was pretty much the same. They were striking at range. Dolotov was kicking, Adam Future was kicking 1-2s, 2s down, trading 2s. Yeah, and then Dolotov is able to time a beautiful check hook on Future. No, knocks him out. He kind of wakes up, hits him again, goes back to sleep, hits him again, wakes up again. So, yeah, we love waking up and knocking someone out twice. So, yay CTE. Good win from Islam Dolotov, obviously a prospect. We'll see how serious he actually takes his career. Because if he's bought a second Lamborghini at his current age, either his family has a lot of money, which I don't believe because they have like 7 kids, which even if they do, like split a lot, or modernly just pays a shit ton and this is just fun for him. But I guess we'll see what he makes of it. We got I guess potential new contender at welterweight. Alright, that's the end of the prelims. Let's go into the early prelims. Let's go into the prelims. So Robert Valentin, Atiba Gautier. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I think Cameroon. So speak French. Yeah, French origin. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I don't know what the fuck Valentin's game plan was, and even then, right? What the fuck goes on in that Viking head of his? Because it's like, we know who Atiba Gautier is. He's a dangerous puncher. He's ripped, he's jacked, he's athletic, he's obviously fucking explosive. But you're just gonna back up against the fence and let him, just strike and trade with him? Instead of leading the fight? Like, you want to trade, that's all good, but you might want to put a feint and lead into the fight first. You might want to do that a bit later when he's not as explosive. So, fight starts, Gautier is just feinting jabs, and Valentin just backs up towards the fence due to fake jabs. I don't know what to say, man. He didn't circle. He just went straight backwards. Gets clipped. Doesn't survive quite a bit, He's got a tough noggin on him. He survives and then gets whacked again. He keeps getting whacked. Just whacked. And then whacked. And then whacked. And then whacked. And then whacked. Keep in mind, none of these whacks are from Valentin. He hasn't thrown a single shot yet. All he's done is run and cover up. He hasn't even shot a takedown. Or clinch. You think you're against a big guy who has big, powerful hands, which means he needs to punch you, which means he needs space. You might want to remove the space. But nah, let's just let him punch me. So he gets whacked, and eventually gets whacked too much in the fight ends. Yeah. Honestly, I don't know what to say about Gautier. I'm not a fan of the middleweight division. I think it's very, very thin in terms of skill, not in terms of people, compared to the others. But we'll see what Gautier makes of his career. And yeah, quick turnaround. He took 2 strikes. I don't even know if he took that. So, nice. Alright, Francisco Prada, Nikolai Varetnikov. Obviously, this is Francisco Prada's second fight at welterweight. His first fight was against Jake Matthews, which didn't go his way. This fight was close. Definitely close. But I do have it for Varetnikov. Now, Varetnikov is a much larger fighter. Definitely more physical, and he definitely showed that in the fight. Right? I don't think he used his range as much as he probably should have, but he was more physical. I remember, I think Francisco went for a takedown, and Nikolai just dumped him, and that's just pure physicality. Vinicius Oliveira did a similar thing, but we'll get to that later. So the first round was honestly really good for Prado at the start. He threw a big overhand into a takedown. He was able to chain a bunch of subs off that, but wasn't able to get anything. And then Varetnikov kind of just beat him up a little bit at the end of the round. So I do think that this round does go to Varetnikov. I do actually want to say before that, if anything, Prado made a big mistake in this fight, and that was when he was going for the back kick. Now, the one in the first round I'll excuse because he only had one hook in, but the one later on in the fight, he literally goes to get the second hook and shifts up, like he shifts himself up off the back, which is like if you're taking someone's back, you want to be as low as possible towards the hips as you can, and he just shifts up for no fucking reason. And then obviously gets thrown off and loses the position where he could have actually finished Rennikov there. But anyway, what can you do? He's a blockhead. Look at him. Look at the big ass head. Prado, please don't beat me up if you ever see me. Second round was really even, I think. They both landed pretty good stuff on each other. Prado definitely controlled the fight, but however, he did get dropped at the start of the round. And I think if you take away the drop, it's an easy Prado round. But he did get dropped. And as we scored damage over position, you have to give it to Brennikov. And I do think I don't think he came with the right game plan. I think Prado did really quite well on the feet, right? And I think he was striking quite well with Rennikov. I know Rennikov landed a couple really nice straight shots down the pipe that hurt Prado. But he did really quite well, and I think he was actually winning on the strike in round 2, in my opinion. So I think from a game plan perspective, it's a bit too late, too soon, a little bit too late. And also, I think a lot of it's because round 1 he was too hungry chasing the submission as opposed to position. But what happened has happened. So obviously at this point, Rennikov's up 2. Round 3 is an easy victory for Prado. He outlanded him. The 2 takedowns really were kind of from Prado's mistakes as well. But a lot of the takedowns Prado got was because Rennikov kept spinning for that back kick, which obviously you saw again with what's his name, Bruno Ferreira, and I think Vinicius Oliveira also did it. Wait, was it Vinicius Oliveira? Or someone else did it on the card. I think it was Oliveira. Obviously, it shows that it's not something you should do a lot, right? You see Shevchenko Grasso, you see Weidman Rockhold. It doesn't end well. If you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it like a roofie, or you're gonna do it like straight, right? And that means you have to set them up. You have to take a step back, like a Barboza does, or you have to move them back, or do it as they're moving back, or do what Holloway does, where he just straight up jumps, so you can't really take him down because he's flying like an eagle. So yeah, round 3, dominant from Prado. He outstruck him, outgrappled him, outcontrolled him, and yeah, I feel for Prado, man. Like genuinely, I feel for Prado. This was definitely his fight to win. He just couldn't get it done. You know, round 1 was purely the mistake he made. Alright, moving on to Marvin Vettori, Brandon Allen. Honestly, I don't think these two are exciting fighters. I still won't change my opinion on them. However, I will admit this was definitely a more exciting fight than their usual fights. Allen showed that the striking is actually pretty decent, which I knew it was, but it's just not that special, right? And it still isn't. Marvin Vettori showed that despite the amount of time he takes off, he still hasn't learned to evolve from a 1-2 down the pipe. So, yay for Vettori! Good job, Vettori. What a fucking good use of your career. This fight was literally straight shots down the pipe, 1-2s. Except the thing was, Allen was blasting kicks, and he was also constantly finding angles. Vettori was looking for that counter shot or that shot, or to blitz with it. But Allen was actively standing at the same range and just cutting a small angle and then blasting it. Which means he could stay at this range with Vettori and keep blasting, right? And it was if Vettori moved back, he could chase him. And if Vettori moved forward, then they would clinch. But it was more on Vettori to change the distance as opposed to Allen. And if Allen's attacking, it's better for him. Round 1, I gave it to Allen. They were quite even on the feet, I think. Yeah, they were quite even. Allen did get the takedowns, but they didn't really do much. There was no control. I think Vettori did reverse it immediately. Yeah. But I think bloody nose does have to count for something if we look at damage, and that's why I gave it to Brandon Allen. Round 2, again, like this whole fight was really, really similar, right? The only thing I didn't like to see from round 2 onwards is that he stopped kicking. Allen stopped kicking. And he didn't go to the legs, right? You don't always have to go to the legs, but if you're going to go body a lot of times, you might as well chuck one down, right? Yeah, he just stopped kicking, but he was able to hurt Vittori with a nice one too. You saw Vittori's eyes go a little bit, like, oh my god, I'm a little bit dazed. Yeah, so it went like that. That's how Allen won round 2. Round 3, again, I think it was an Allen round. I think the fact that he was able to out pressure Vittori, and I don't necessarily agree with these numbers, but he was able to land cleaner shots on Vittori than Vittori was able to on him. So it was a fairly decent scrap. But if this is what you call a grudge match, and this is the performance you're putting on, you must really be a boring fighter generally, which I do think they are. All right, moving on to the spotlight of the prelims: Vinicius Oliveira, Kylie Phillips. I'm gonna be honest, I've never thought Vinicius Oliveira was good. I think Bernardo Serpage is better than Vinicius Oliveira. I know Oliveira fucking flying knee KO'd him. But if you put it into context, Serpage was taking it on 12 days notice or 11 days notice. And he was pretty much out-techniquing Vinicius Oliveira. I don't know what happened to Vinicius Oliveira this fight. It looked like all the technique went out the window. There's always some sort of controversy going on with him. I think against Saeed had like a broken rib or something. Like, can you just fight a nice technical fight? Both did not look like they were ranked. Kyler Phillips looked like he was Kyler Phillips just, I don't know, I just always thought he was soy. He's not really, but he kind of is at the same time. Like, the way he moves, the power and the shots, just a little bit soy. Yeah, but the main thing I want to shit on is this guy. Like, how are you going to be ranked in bantamweight, one of the divisions that has the highest skill, and just rely on physicality? Actually, no, I can't even shit on him for that. I just shit on MMA. MMA has no athleticism. Oh, okay, no. MMA has a massive lack of athletic people. Right? Which really shouldn't make that much sense in low weight classes, but it apparently is. If someone who's big, physical, and just somewhat athletic, like Vinicius Oliveira, can fight like an absolute retard for 15 minutes and win a dominant 10 out of 15 of those. Like, I don't know, man. The thing is, I don't think he will ever become a champion. I think when he faces people with actual power and an actual ability to mix it up more than just a big right hand, like Kyler Phillips threw, he's gonna fall into some trouble. Over the rounds, Phillips easily won round 1. You know, Vinicius Oliveira came out with that wacky ass, I don't even know what it is. It's like a mixed capoeira style or some shit like that. Came out with that wacky ass style. It's like a Dominic Cruz capoeira thing. He came in that style, and I think he came in the correct game plan to fight this, but he just didn't have the cardio to sustain it, right? It's a correct game plan if you have the cardio. He obviously didn't have the cardio, where it's pretty much hit and run, right? Oliver was really flat-footed, and he was walking forward with that the same aura as Pereira does, where it's like, I know you can hit me, but I know I can hit you, and when I hit you, you go night-night. So, like, obviously in that case, when Phillips was able to hit him with some pretty good right hands, he was able to win the round because Oliveira wasn't able to catch him or hit him. However, in round 2, there was a big difference. Now you see the striking number. Oliveira comes out, hurts him early. He actually starts to open up. He hurts him early with a 3-2, and then Phillips just runs around half around the cage, trying to survive. They get to the fence. They go grapple a little bit against the fence. Then, like a fucking idiot, Kyler Phillips, who managed to slip out from under Oliveira and has Oliveira against the fence, goes for a back take when Oliveira is fully against the fence. Like, I don't know, mate. I don't know where your other leg's gonna go, but it went into the fence and he dropped down on the bottom and he gave pretty much Oliveira top position. If you look at the way Philip dealt with how to get up from bottom, it was really shit. It was simply because Oliveira wanted to posture up and land good ground and pound, right? Philip sort of let him, and his only decision was to kick the hips. But the thing is, Oliveira's putting his full weight down. Like, you can't kick a grown man off you when your legs aren't, like, pretty much fully extended. Because if they weren't, you get whacked in the face. So, I don't know about the IQ there from Kyler Phillip. Personally, I think if you rolled for a leg, or at least threw a couple up kicks and then, use that as a distraction to get up, it would have been much better. Either way, he managed to get up, and then Oliveira whacks him a couple times. Then he gets him back down. He gets top position. Yeah. I don't know. Just not a good performance from Oliveira, but he had some nice combinations. Like he has that Whitaker 1-2 head kick, which is really quite nice. But he was blasting that a lot. The 3-shot combos. Round 3 is pretty much the same thing as round 2, except with a bit less grappling. It's just pully striking. Clear Oliveira for 2 and 3. So Oliveira wins 29-28, 29-28, 29-28. Now, moving on to Michael Johnson and Daniel Zellhuber. I have switched. I think the UFC is updating the 318 page, so I got kicked out. So I'm going to do it off the Google one. So, Johnson versus Zellhuber. Again, another southpaw matchup. I don't think I mentioned it, but there's a lot of southpaw fights on this card. I think Michael Johnson and Rafael Fiziev are like some of the best fighters to watch, at least in recent history, on how to deal with a tall, rangy fighter. Right? Especially one who can't put up a threat down the middle. So, first round, just quickly, a lot of pretty weird shit happened. Johnson got his shorts ripped immediately. I think Zellhuber was on threw an up kick and his toes got caught in the shorts and they ripped. And he also Zellhuber got cup jacked. But moving past those, Johnson was fighting really smart, right? He was fighting at range where Zellhuber couldn't hit him, but he could kick him. He was fighting that kicking range, right? And he would, because of southpaw orthodox, he'd just take that outside foot out. He'd just take that outside step and then just throw that 2 down the pipe. And he, started off with body shots, and he just pretty much built it up towards body, head. And whenever Zellhuber would give him a chance, such like he would throw a kick and then he would turn his back, right? Johnson would just blast big body shots at him. I don't necessarily know what Zellhuber was thinking in that fight. Like, he only threw jabs and leg kicks. No, not leg kicks, jabs and head kicks. With the goal of busting up Johnson's power hand for pretty much the first 2 rounds, which, again, just doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, how are you going to be a tall, rangy, damaging person and just not be able to throw any damage, right? Anyway, so that's pretty much how the first 2 rounds go. Johnson shows that he's, able to manage range and manage his entries quite well. Sometimes you just throw a jab, sometimes you do the step out 1-2, step out, just do the 2. He also showed that he was significantly faster than Zellhuber. Zellhuber openly said it himself. Zellhuber was not fast. I don't know what the fuck the game plan was. Happened for continued for those 2 rounds. Johnson is able to finally land that 2 on Zellhuber's chin, dropping him. But he's able to get up. And then I guess at the end of round 2, he starts actually throwing like his right hand. Like, starts looking to land damage. Round 3, pretty much the same shit. Zellhuber starts throwing spinning kicks, starts actually opening up. And as a result, Johnson is not able to just do whatever he wants. Right? Johnson's game plan didn't change between 2 and 3, but Zellhuber's did. And as a result, Zellhuber showed that he's actually able to strike at range and actually able to hit Michael Johnson and win the round. Johnson does get a late single leg. He shoots a late single leg. He doesn't get it. And then, yeah, that's pretty much all the grappling that occurred. So, yeah, this fight was pretty clear cut, I think. Zellhuber just showed that, as physical as he is, if you just don't want to open up and throw, you can't win a fight. Right? And Johnson showed that he still got it. Alright, moving on to Dan Ige, Patricio Pitbull. Now, this is the fight where Pitbull actually showed up to, perform. This is the Pitbull that should have showed up against Yair. Now, he was still a bit lower on volume than I think he should be. He's hunting for that single shot, but he's actually fucking good. Like, he showed that he was actually good, right? quickly, I do want to say, off watching that Michael Johnson fight and me, Zellhuber fight, jumping into that Dan Ige Patrice people fight, they looked like dwarfs, right? Like they built like tiny, like like fantasy dwarfs, jacked but also hella short. No offense to them too, but they built like that, okay? And I can say that because I'm kind of built like that too. Well, I am built like that. What the fuck am I saying? But I don't know. Just look like the fucking dwarfs. I just want to comment on it. First round, people started slow. He was pretty much really throwing leg kicks, and Ige was looking obviously to get into that boxing range. He was constantly switching angles, getting in there and throwing, but people would just shut up, and he wouldn't be able to land anything. People was immediately blasted a bunch of leg kicks. Dan Ige looked to land boxing. People, I think, shot a single, yeah, really nice single. He takes Ige back to the fence, and he's able to get a body lock from it. And then he lifts Ige up, slams him. And then Ige does get up, and Pitbull follows him. And then they're chasing each other. They're still trying to shoot. Ige does get a really nice switch, but he's not actually able to use it to fully get out. But he's able to use it to stop Pitbull's attacks. But Pitbull's able to get a cradle at the end of all the scrambles. They stay in that cradle position for a little bit. Ige stands up, and then that's pretty much the end of the round. Oh, Patricio Pitbull threw a pretty cool flying knee, but there was like pretty much no volume from him. One thing I did notice though at the end of the first round is Ige was biting on a lot of feints. So whenever Pitbull would just walk forward, he'd sort of come back. Whenever Pitbull would just twitch, Ige would react, and Pitbull was pretty much seeing everything, right? Like Ige threw one leg kick in that round, and the second he threw it, Pitbull threw a right cross counter. So it was pretty clear that Pitbull won. Round 2, they started to trade a little bit more, right? Pitbull was opening up more. Ige's still doing the same stuff, right? He's looking to enter and throw volume and boxing combinations. Ige was throwing more volume. Pitbull was looking for single shots. Ige's volume, none of them landed clean. Like, I don't think a single one landed clean, but they were scoring because Pitbull's single shot didn't land clean at all, right? They kept going. I think Pitbull starts to land clean on Ige as he sort of circles and tries to take that angle. I think he did it with a jab and a straight. Then he manages to hurt Ige, right? He drops him down to a knee, and then Ige is in retreat mode, goes to the fence, and then he survives. Gets taken down, and then there's a bit of ground and pound, and that's the end of the round. So again, Pitbull easy clear round number 2. So Pitbull's won the fight pretty much at this point, right? And Ige needs a finish, and he follows that mentality. Round 3, Ige comes out immediately and cracks Pitbull on the chin, with a head kick. It was absolutely beautiful. I don't know how he survived that, honestly. Pitbull's in survival mode, grappling, clinch, escapes. He goes for a single. He runs a pipe, and they. I don't know how to describe this, but I'm going to call it HAHC. Head to ass, head to cock. That's how they ended up. Alright? I don't know why I was called it that, but it was such a weird position. They're back at range, and then Ige starts doing eye feints. He starts looking at his feet, and then looking at his chest or wherever he normally looks, and he looks back at his feet and looks at his chest again. He does actually manage to land a shot off it. I don't actually know if it was that effective, but hey, it works. Pitbull goes through again, wrestling again, gets stuffed, and they go for rest. Ige throws a head kick. Pitbull catches it, and then he dumps him, and then they end up in a weird leg lock situation, which ultimately ends with Ige figure fouring Pitbull and just sort of whacking him with little "get away from me" shots. Oh no, please don't hurt me. Yeah, those ones. Bro, fuck, why'd I do that? That's so soy. Shit. Anyway, Holland versus D-Rod. Bro, I don't know what happened with Holland, man. Is Holland just not that good? I don't know. Because he didn't look like the Holland we know. Oh no, you know what it was? He wasn't able to use his reach the way he wanted to. Daniel Rodriguez fought Holland like Michael Johnson fought Daniel Zellhuber. he immediately knew what to do. Immediately start going from body and start looking to slip. Granted, Daniel Rodriguez is a lot. There's a lot less of a height difference from Holland to Rodriguez than it is from Johnson to Zellhuber, right? But it's the same game plan where he's looking to attack the base, legs, body, and then go up to the top, which is head. Holland wasn't able to get started. He wasn't able to get a rhythm. Wasn't able to get started. He did do some wacky ass kung fu leg kicks, which were interesting. Definitely interesting. Not effective, but And then when Holland would sort of back up and Rodriguez was able to go square with him and walk forward, he would throw body shots, right? And they weren't just normal body shots. No. Because, the guy with a full bunch of tats can't throw a punch, right? He started throwing punches with straight elbows. Yeah. You know what a scarecrow, right? You know how it's like if you rotated a scarecrow left and right as if he was throwing punches. That's what he was doing. They were all from the shoulder, which is kind of how you meant to throw a punch. But like, he was throwing hooks from. He was throwing like hooks with a straight arm. That's what he was doing. So, yeah, it was quite interesting. Pretty much, Holland can't fight a dirty fight. I don't think. I think Holland you need to give him space. You need to get him started. He needs to be able to build some stuff on you, and he wasn't able to do that against Rodriguez. Second round was similar, except Rodriguez actually hurts Holland pretty quickly in the round, right? Holland goes for a 2, Rodriguez steps out and throws a beautiful left hook counter. And then Holland's in survival mode, they're scrambling, blah blah blah, D-Rod gets half, and with some brain cells, I know, he actually has brain cells, he stands Holland up, and they look to strike again. And then D-Rod lands immediately. Like, Holland shoots a double leg, he stops, and D-Rod lands immediately after that against fence. Holland goes, wobbly jelly leg again, right? And then, again, it's the grappling stuff. But this time, D-Rod decides to stand on half, despite his corner yelling, stand him up. He does eventually stand Holland up, but obviously, it's been a while now. Holland has recovered. So, the rest of the fight is Holland trying to get back in the fight, which he does. He does do quite well. He shoots a double leg, which he doesn't get, but Holland does manage to get a standing dart stroke. D-Rod does twist out of it, and I think D-Rod hits him one more time big and managed to cut Holland. Right. Then once he's cut, he panic shoots. D-Rod jumps Gilly, but he doesn't get it. So that's round 2. Round 1 and 2, D-Rod. Round 3, Holland comes out immediately and drops D-Rod with an clinch uppercut. Like that dirty uppercut, right? Bam! Bam! It's fucking beautiful. Drops him with that. Goes for a dance to finish, but he doesn't get it. They separate, and then he immediately does the exact same. He does the exact same shot, right? It's that same uppercut, and he hurts D-Rod again. D-Rod is obviously now in survival mode. He goes shooting. He shoots a takedown, shoots a body lock. Doesn't get it. Holland gets on top. D-Rod's now in title. I think Holland was a little bit gassed at this point. Like, he was spamming tippy-tappy hammer fists, but like he wasn't actually going for damage. Because I genuinely think he was gassed. And then he makes a mistake. He goes for D-Rod's back, but he gets reversed. And then that's pretty much where the fight ends, with D-Rod on top, landing ground and pound and mount. So this round, obviously Holland round 3. Did he sell the fight a little bit? I think he sold the finish a little bit. But at the end of the day, Daniel Rodriguez showed that he is weirdly explosive and weirdly long. And maybe Kevin Holland had an off day. Or maybe he's just not as good as what we thought. But like, he did well against JDM. I don't fucking know. MMA math doesn't make sense. Paulo Costa, Roman Kopylov. Now, a lot of people said this is the Paulo Costa of the old. I just think this is the Paulo Costa who's somewhat healthy. I think this is a Costa who's able to fight the way he wants to fight against a person who's gonna let him fight like this. Right? Kopylov and Costa are very similar animals. Kopylov likes to blitz perhaps a bit more than Costa, but they're both really long. They both like using kicks. They both like setting up the punches with kicks. Right? But Costa did it better. Costa did look quite small in there. Like, Kopylov was the bigger fighter. And you could tell even on the weigh-ins that he looked small. Which, I don't know if that was due to because he pulled out, You know how he pulled out in 317? Maybe it was because of that, or maybe it's just because he's just decided to go for more for speed. But I don't know. Maybe we'll bulk up. I guess that will be answered by his next fight. First round, Costa immediately starts kicking. Um, it's mainly leg kicks, but he does go up towards the body a little bit. He does stay on the back foot, right? But he's controlling the fight on the back foot. He's not getting pressured. He's constantly circling. He's controlling the pace. And Kopylov isn't really able to get much started. He does land a couple nice straight twos, but then Costa lands his own twos and drops Kopylov, which is pretty much where the fight ends. Like, the whole round was just spamming kicks at each other and throwing an occasional one, no, two, and then Costa does drop him. So Costa wins the first round. Second round is a similar story. How I do want to say, Kopilov's corner, I don't know what the fuck they were saying to him. They said he was doing good. How are you doing good? You're getting out-volumed. Like, look at this. 102 to 48. He more than doubled him. That's insane to say that he's doing good when you're getting doubled in volume. And the shots Costa was throwing were landing clean as well. There was some really clean body kicks in there. Second round, Kopylov is reacting a lot now. Every single time Costa moves, every single time little twitch he does, Kopilov's got to react. And that opens up the body kicks for Costa, right? Costa starts to throw more with hands. He starts looking for really nice tight boxing combinations. He goes like body hooks, and then again he hurts Kopylov with a right straight, but he doesn't drop him. He just makes him buckle a little bit. When he hurts him, he goes in close. They get a clinch for a knee, and then Costa, hurts him again with a similar shot, right? Same head off the center line, right hand down the pipe. However, Costa also starts to react to feints, and then as a result, Kopylov's able to do quite well towards the end of the round. Get his get back, but obviously getting hurt twice, there's no way you can recover from that unless you knock the guy down. So Costa definitely won round 2. Round 3 was really more back and forth, right? They were pretty much doing the same things. Again, Kopylov's corner said he was winning during the round 2 and 3 break, which doesn't make any fucking sense. I don't know what his corner's telling him, or maybe the translation's wrong. I don't know. But if you're saying that to a fighter when he needs a finish, it's just not the right choice, eh? Round 3, they're fairly even now. They're both throwing. Actually, Kopylov's not really throwing many kicks. Costa's still throwing kicks. Kopylov's looking for nice boxing combinations. He's actually pressuring Costa now. So unlike before, Costa was fighting in the back foot where he was controlling. He was actually getting pressured this time. He starts going back towards the fence, which is obviously not good against a guy who's good at blitzing. And yeah, as a result, Kopylov lands a nice right hand that hurts Costa. Doesn't drop him. Does visibly make him buckle. But yeah, Costa does recover. But again, he's still towards that fence a little bit. Costa's still landing really nice body shots. He's still looking to land those right hands, and they're both sort of trading back and forth a little bit more now. Costa does use a bit of grappling here. He does shoot, and it gets stuffed, and then he immediately fake shoots and gets a clinch knee, which is a really nice move from him. And then, the fight just ends up with trading a little bit at range. This is a heavy argument for Kopylov here because he did hurt Costa, but I don't think he hurt him as much as I think some people would say. I think a lot of it was more to the fact that it was off balance, and I really liked Costa's body work. So I'm gonna say round 3 to Costa. However, either way, he's won the fight. All right, to the main event. This was a BMF fight. Like, I don't know. The belt is encapsulated. Was it the best BMF fight? No. Was it definitely a fight worthy of it? Yeah. Right. Going into this, I thought Holloway would decisively win, and I had him up 5-0. There's an argument for 3-2. I think 4-1 might be the general consensus. I think Holloway easily won. I think Holloway clearly won 1-5. Right, and then I'm gonna give 2 to Holloway purely because although they both dropped each other, Holloway had more time to do stuff with a damaged Poirier than Poirier was able to do with a damaged Holloway. Right? He was able to stay on top more. He was able to land more in just range in general. Um, round 3, I gave it to Max. Yeah, and then round 4 was obviously the other swing round. But I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna say, Holloway is a proper beast at lightweight. At featherweight, he's always had power, right? But he's been more of a volume striker, and he still is. He hasn't changed. His cardio's still there. His volume's still there. But the fact that he's able to actually genuinely hurt you with single shots now, it's so much more dangerous. Because Poirier got stunned. I know he got knocked down once, but did he get knocked down twice? No, he got knocked down twice. Why did I say once here? He got knocked down twice. But he got stunned like a lot of times during that fight. I know Holloway did as well, but he stunned Poirier with a lot of combinations. This fight was pretty much early on, was Poirier looking for that single shot and Holloway landing those combinations. Holloway landed really clean combinations throughout the fight. Poirier had a really nice jab going for him. That was able to set up the big power shots when he decided to do them. But Poirier didn't throw enough combinations. When he threw combinations, Max was getting hit. Did Max adjust towards that on? Yes, but when you get Max going up, when you get people going backwards, they get more predictable, right? Which is how he really dropped Holloway. He dropped Holloway. He dropped Holloway with a 3-2. He got him moving to the side, and he blasted him with that left hand. Look, there's not much I want to say about this fight. Purely because I think, if anything, you should watch it for yourself. I think it's a great fight. I think clearly Holloway won. I think it's a great way for Poirier to go out. He's tough as nails. What a fucking G. The spinning back kick was, Holloway's body kicks. Man, Holloway's kicks were amazing. But also, I think there's something to say about the fact that Holloway and Costa both won really able to hurt their opponents with a lot of clean body kicks. I think there's something to say about the body kick, right? Especially to the non-liver side. But yeah, good fucking win, man. Good retirement from Poirier. You know, they showed him the respect. This is the guy who gets a video, not a fucking Michelle Waterson Gomez. We get it. She's hot. Great. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, good from Holloway. Low-key, I'm excited about a Holloway. Actually, am I excited about Holloway to Poirier at lightweight? No, I'm not. Poirier's still going to kill him. But I think Holloway's a genuine beast at lightweight. I think he's shown that he's a cut above the Poiriers and Gaethjes. So he's on that Oliveira level, right? Oliveira Sarukian level. If not at the Ilya Islam level. But I don't know if they are. I don't know if he is. So yeah, it was a fucking brilliant event. I'm gonna wrap it up. I think it's going to be a bit long. I'm gonna wrap it up. Brilliant fucking event. So exhilarating. One female fight that was actually a good fight. And a couple, sort of boring. Prelims up to main events. Up towards the main card, but good main event. Good send off. And we're gonna shine bright like a diamond. Thank you.